Okay, in this video we are going to finish up the second problem of the estate division. So I've cleverly titled this video Estate Division Part 3. Okay. Now, if you're coming from video 2, if you remember correctly, uh, we already went over the item 1, the new cash balance, the bonus, and the fair division. So we're basically going to do that again for this other question that we had back in video 1. All right, so let's go and get started. We have a house, car, and some land that is in a estate that needs to be evenly divided between Fred, John, and Pete. Now, we already have our fair share from video 1. So our next step would be to subtract the fair share from the item that was purchased or whoever had the highest bid for each item. So going back to our table here, Pete ended up winning the house, Fred ended up winning the car, and John ended up winning the land. Okay, so we are going to subtract each of those values from their fair share. So since John won the land, we are going to subtract $55,000 from him. We are going to subtract $9,000 from Fred because he won the car, and for Pete, we're going to subtract $65,000. Now, once again, if you ever have a time where you need to stop the video, pause it so you can do the math, feel free to do so. Okay, so I went ahead and subtracted John, Fred, and Pete's winnings or their item that they won from their fair share. And if you notice, you're now dealing with a couple of negative numbers. Well, if you remember back to video 2, the second part of it, let's see if I can get my pen here. There I am. John is in the negative, and Pete is also in the negative, okay? Now remember that these numbers stand for the amount of money that they are going to get paid from the bank account. Well, you might be wondering, how's that going to happen because of the fact that we have $0 in the bank account? Well, if you remember back to video 2, these negative numbers here represents what is going to be paid back. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are actually going to add those numbers to the bank account. Now, the one thing to notice is that, yes, they are negative numbers, but to the bank account, it's going to be positive numbers. So it's going to be a positive $7,666.67 plus the $24,000. And when we do that, we get $41,666.67. This is now the new amount in the bank account. Okay, and remember, John and Fred, they went ahead and paid their debt, so they are down to 0. So John and Pete have broke even. They have no money owed or money coming to them. But if you notice Fred here, he actually has 29,000 that needs to get paid to him. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the money in the account, which is 41,000. We're going to subtract Fred's $29,000, and we are going to pay Fred off. Okay, so when we do that, we end up with $12,666.67 in the bank account. That's left over because everybody has gotten paid off. Everybody who needed to get paid did get paid. So we're stuck with a balance of 12,666. If you remember correctly, you cannot have any cash left over in the bank account. Everything must be divided. So we're going to take that $12,666 and we're going to divide it by 3 because there are 3 heirs and we need to figure out what our bonus is. So when we do that, we're going to end up with a bonus of, and I'm going to write this way over here, $4,222.22. And we're going to take this bonus and we are going to give it to the heirs. And so when we do that, let me redo that. And so when we do that, John is going to get some money back, $4,222.22 to be exact. Fred is going to get 4,000, the same, as well as Pete. And so when we get our final totals, I'm going to make some room down here so we have some more room. John ends up buying, let's see if I remember, he ended up buying the land. So the item that John won was the land. The item that Fred won was the car. And lastly, I believe Pete won the house. All right. So that is the item that they won, plus the amount of cash that they're walking away with, which is $4,222. Pete also is the same. But since Fred didn't have to owe any money, he is going to actually receive back a lot more, which is $33,222.22. Now, if I was to ask you, what is their total value of their fair share, you would say John bought some land for $55,000 for a grand total of $59,222.22. I believe the car was worth $9,000. So if I'm not mistaken, that's 12,000. Nope, bigger than that. That is going to be $42,000. And then Fred bought the car. Oh, I'm sorry, Pete bought the house for 65,000. And so Pete is going to walk with away $69,222.22. And that is the total value of each of theirs part of the estate. If you have any questions, let me know when you see me again. Thank you.